Hi, welcome back. So in this video, I'm going to talk about my box that I call my work in progress box or WIP box. This actually comes from the inventory background in the sense that you have your raw materials, you have your work in progress, and then you have your finished goods, or called WIP. And so our raw materials are actually our cards, right? The bibliography cards, the terms, concepts, and theories cards, and then our main Zettelkasten cards. These combined together in new and interesting ways, in sparks of inspiration or neural explosions, are what ultimately culminate into our work in progress, the things that we're excited to talk about or write about or use in our final objective, whether it's writing an article, writing a book, creating a video, teaching a lesson, working on your dissertation. Whatever the objective may be, this is where you put those sparks of inspiration or neural explosions until you have the time to work on it more fully. I'll try to explain this as slowly as I can, and I'll try to keep my excitement to a minimum, because this really did blow my mind and made this entire system make so much more sense to me, and just really got me inspired to do so much more with it. So with that, let's head over to my desktop and take a look at my works in progress box. Okay, so in looking here, you'll see that box number 6 is my works in progress or WIP box. And if I go ahead and open that drawer, again using my mouse to open and close the drawer, you'll see I created a tab called The Paradox of Norms and Peculiarities and Control. Okay, clearly the name of the tab is whatever it needs to be to help you remember what made you juxtaposition certain cards together with one another. And for me, it was one of those moments where I was actually training somebody on how to use my Zettelkasten system in a beta test environment. And as I was going through the cards that I had, this connection literally just happened, and I was so excited about it. I was like, oh, I need 2 minutes. I had to stop the training for 2 minutes just so I could manage this particular neural explosion. And so the first thing you want to do is obviously create your tab, because you need to remember what it was that was so goosebump and sparks flying, inspiring about this particular concept. Now, I get that this might not be as exciting for everybody else as it was for me, and that's okay. The point is to just make it make sense for you, so that when you come back to it hours, days, weeks, months, or even years later, the concept and the context is captured, okay? The next thing you want to do is create a card that is almost a brain dump of whatever firings are going on inside that mind that got you so excited about this. Now, in my case, it was this paradox of AI, and you'll see that I gave it a title. Again, so something to help me remember what I wanted to write about, and I put a 1_ in front of it. The reason I did that is because all of my Zet cards use numbers as addresses, and I need to make sure that my brain dump document is first, so that I can progressively work through my works in progress box and in a specific file. So here, and because it's quick and dirty, I do use the hyperlink capabilities within Obsidian to help me get the idea down on paper as fast as possible. And this is one of those cases where I don't care about word count, I don't care about anything other than literally brain dumping whatever is firing in my head that's got me so excited. So if I use Control and I hover over this card, you can see that I'm referencing a card from social theory. So this was in my social sciences box of my Zettelkasten. So remember, I have 5 boxes based on the table of academic disciplines. And so this box was in the social sciences section, specifically under sociology. And you can see it talks about social theory. And it talks about the paradox of normative versus peculiarity. And it was actually talking about this within the concept of ethical leadership. So you have what's considered norms, what's acceptable, what follows the rules, what is considered normal, either accepted from a corporate level, a cultural level, a society level, a legislative level. Norms is what's normal, where peculiarities are the things that stand out, right? The nail that stands up taller than the rest. And there's different ways to describe norms. There's different ways to describe peculiarities. And I won't get into that because I'm sure right now most of you are yawning and thinking, what on earth is this woman talking about? And that's okay. It has to make sense to me, right? So here I have the juxtaposition of normatives versus peculiarities from ethical research. And so I talk about what caught my attention. And initially what caught my attention is that norms and peculiarities juxtaposed together is an oxymoronic principle, kind of like Civil War, right? So norms and peculiarities together is kind of oxymoronic in my opinion. And yet I saw that it tied in with another card. And this is my card on formal control. This was actually in a completely different box of the Zettelkasten. It's in my 5th Zettelkasten box, which is the applied science box. And it was in the tab on systems science. So nowhere near the social sciences box, nowhere near sociology. But I had just made these cards on formal control, and all of a sudden it just clicked. I don't know how to explain it, but it clicked in a way that was really exciting. And formal control is structured control. It's, rules, it's procedures, it's a more rigid sense of control that doesn't always take into account the human-centric approach. And contrasted to that is informal control. And so informal control is more about the intangible aspects of control, having values and beliefs and a culture that guide our actions and our behaviors. It's implicit, it's flexible, it's human-centric. Okay, but what got me so excited about this is that norms are tied to formal control, peculiarities are tied to informal control, in my mind. But then I had to take it the next step, because remember, I spend all of my day researching and reading and talking and working with emerging technologies and artificial intelligence. And the big debate right now is over the term artificial intelligence. You have people that have been working within the field of artificial intelligence since 1955 that are saying, why is everybody so excited about AI now today? We've been working on this, for over 50 years, right? It's nothing new. And that's because the artificial intelligence that they're referring to is based on a formal control structure that is norm. It's very integrative. If you think of the game of chess, artificial intelligence is teaching through if-then statements how to play the game of chess by programming every single possible movement of pieces and scenarios that could ever have been played, so that when a player makes a move, the computer or artificial intelligent agent can make a counter move based on that move to win the game, right? Very structured, very rigid, very if-then, very formal control. Okay. The hype now is about what's called generative AI. And these are your LLMs, your large language models like ChatGPT, Claude, Meta AI, Copilot, that are using natural language processing combined with machine learning to generate content. So instead of the rigid rule control that we have within a normative programming, we now have informal control that is flexible, adaptable. Instead of dictating every single possible move, with generative AI, we've actually given it the rule book for the game of chess and let it learn by what's called reinforced learning, by giving it rewards, points, and penalties, taking away points, with the objective of it getting as many points as possible. And so this whole thing for me was really exciting because I'm taking a social theory and I'm applying controls and then tying it to the topic that I love to talk about the most. So that is a neural explosion in a nutshell. And so in my works in progress, I have my main concept, like what blew my mind. I have my brain dump that explains what it was that got me so excited. And then I have my supporting cards. So here's my social theory card. Here's my control theory card on formal control. And here's my control theory card on informal control. And now you're going to see I have changed my computer screen to my book. I'm actually writing a book on preparing to lead as well as leading with intelligence, all about AI, specifically written for corporate types that are looking at how to strategically implement artificial intelligence to operationalize their business, right? And I get, again, that this is something that I'm really excited about and that 90% of you are probably going to yawn over. But remember how throughout the videos, I've always said your cards are your rough draft. Make it as good as you can, but it's your rough draft of your concepts and what you're thinking and in your own words. At some point, you're going to want to put that into a final objective. Now, for me, that can be anything. I write articles that I publish on LinkedIn. On my website, I have articles that I publish. They're usually the same one as LinkedIn, but they're delivered direct to your inbox. They're called my Nexus notes, right? They're little things that I think about relative to artificial intelligence and emerging technologies that I share. I also write for publications. I get contacted by various publications that ask me to write about artificial intelligence and tailor it specific to their industry or their publication's audience. I'm working on writing my book, and then I have my dissertation. I'm also doing interviews and a lot of different things. So my output is vast and diverse. But that's why this system works, because I can use it however I want to. I have my rough draft on my cards. Now in this case, I tied the whole concept of AI policies and formal control and informal control to creating corporate governance policies on AI. So many companies right now are in a very formal control, normative mindset of absolutely not. No artificial intelligence is allowed. It's dangerous, and we don't want to use it. Now, granted, they're usually talking about the new generative AI and not the traditional integrative AI that we have been using for more than 50 years. But with the evolving technology of artificial intelligence, my perspective is that that rigid formal control structure is not effective within a corporate culture that wants to embrace artificial intelligence, meaning the new generative artificial intelligence, because you need a human-centric approach. You need some flexibility. You need to have room to make mistakes, to test, to validate, and things of that nature. And so I took my rough draft cards and I put them in a more formal structure and actually converted it then into text in my book. And so I hope you found that helpful. I hope that my excitement was not too much for you on that. I do get really excited when I'm talking about emerging technologies and artificial intelligence, as you'll see hopefully in some future videos here on my channel. But I really did want to show you how those sparks of inspiration and neural explosions can be captured, documented, brain dumped, and then saved in essence for later until you're ready to actually use them. I have in my actual vault, not the one that I use for training purposes, I probably have 10 or 15 different works in process, because as I'm reading research, I get these sparks of inspiration or neural explosions all the time, and so I quickly capture them. And then when I have time dedicated or set aside to work on writing my LinkedIn articles or my Nexus notes, that's when I first go through my works in progress box and say, okay, what have I dumped in here within the last week or couple of weeks that I can now leverage to meet that next objective. So I hope you found this video series helpful. This is going to conclude the Zettelkasten box playlist. I will be creating another playlist that outlines step by step how I actually use research articles to create my cards within my Zettelkasten. I've opted to do that separately because I believe that information could be beneficial even to people that are not necessarily using a Zettelkasten system. While I will be showing my research and how I conduct it within making cards and filing it within the Zettelkasten system, I think the approach to how I tear apart and review research to maintain maximum mnemonic use of that research is important. And so I'm going to do that as a separate playlist. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to put them in the comments below and I will try to address them as quickly as possible. If you found this playlist to be helpful, do me a favor, share it with others. Know of some college students, whether they're undergraduates, graduates, or postgraduate students, direct them to my site. Maybe they'll find a system that will help them complete their next term paper, master's thesis, or PhD dissertation. Thanks for coming by and have a great time using your Zettelkasten box to get yourself organized. Bye!